Okay, and we are back, and I would ask that Mr. Hanson read us our statement to bring us back into session.
We convene today in a closed meeting pursuant to a recorded vote on the motion above in accordance with the Freedom of Information Act. Section 2.2-3712 of the Code of Virginia requires that the board certify that to the best of each member's knowledge, only public business matters lawfully exempt from open meeting requirements under this chapter, and only such public business matters as were identified in the motion by which the closed meeting was convened were heard, discussed, or considered. Any member who believes there was a departure from these requirements shall so state prior to the vote, indicating the substance of the departure that in his or her judgment has taken place. The statement of the departure will be recorded in the minutes.
Okay, Mr. Sturdivant.
Aye.
Ms. Kilgore.
Aye.
Ms. Ashton.
Aye.
Mr. Hanson.
Aye.
Mr. Rotherham.
Aye.
Dr. Northern.
Aye.
Ms. Holton.
Aye.
And chair votes aye. Thank you all. So we will move to our consent agenda item. Is there a motion to approve the item on the consent agenda?
So moved. Second.
Mr. Sturdivant.
Aye.
Ms. Kilgore.
Aye.
Ms. Ashton.
Aye.
Mr. Hanson.
Aye.
Mr. Rotherham. Dr. Northern.
Aye.
Ms. Holton.
Aye.
And chair votes aye. Okay, we are moving to item B, our action items. Final review, proposal to stagger the terms for Early Childhood Advisory Committee. Ms. Conway. Welcome.
Good morning. I'm Jenna Conway, Deputy Superintendent of Early Childhood Care and Education. Item B in front of you this morning is for final review is our proposal that Board Director Chapman shared with you all at our last meeting about staggering the terms for the Early Childhood Advisory Committee. This is the advisory committee established in code to advise the Board of Education in all matters early childhood. There are 22 members. That membership is spelled out in code, and they have terms of 3 years, and they cannot serve more than 2 consecutive terms. When this law was passed in 2020, it meant that all of the Early Childhood Advisory Committee members, including Ms. Creasy at the time, all started at the same time. And you'd have a challenge around switching 22 positions every 3 years, no institutional knowledge, real challenge in recruiting. And so this board saw at the last meeting, and we seek approval for final review at this one, a schedule that would break the 22 members into kind of 3 groups, phase them in over 3 years, and ensure that we had continuity, diversity, and institutional knowledge on the advisory committee on early childhood care and education matters that advises this board. On behalf of the Superintendent of Public Instruction, we recommend that the board approve for final review this proposal to stagger terms for the Early Childhood Advisory Committee.
Thank you, Ms. Conway. Can I get a motion to approve the recommendation to revise the ECAC term limits to a staggered term limit policy and stagger the advertisement of ECAC positions into 3 phases over the next 3 years?
So moved. Second.
Mr. Sturdivant.
Aye.
Ms. Kilgore.
Aye.
Ms. Ashton.
Aye.
Mr. Hanson.
Aye.
Mr. Rotherham.
Aye.
Dr. Northern.
Aye.
Ms. Holton.
Aye.
And chair votes aye. Thank you very much. Okay. All right. And Ms. Conway is item C as well.
Excellent. Item C in front of the board this morning is the first review of the Notice of Intended Regulatory Action for VQB5, which is the state's Unified Early Childhood Measurement and Improvement System. As this board is aware, we have been building VQB5 in accordance with state code over the course of the last few years. It was established via law in 2021. There were 2 practice years. Initially, there was only 1, and then law added a second practice year in response to the COVID-19 pandemic, and we have full implementation this year. As we are midway through the year, we have 3,300 sites, childcare, family childcare, early Head Start, early childhood special education, and school-based preschool across the state, representing 11,000 infant, toddler, preschool, and mixed-age classrooms. Across those 11,000 classrooms, we are evaluating teacher-child interactions in an age and developmentally appropriate way and understanding which of those classrooms, or which of those sites rather, are using a high-quality curriculum from our choices of approved curriculum across, and in at least one classroom. We are asking today to put forth a notice of intended regulatory action. The regulatory action that we will be pursuing is distinct from the guidelines, which this body has approved each year. The regulation is more narrow in nature, and it will specify legally which programs have to participate as per the law, explain what is the minimum required of publicly funded programs, and establish consequences if programs do not participate. And for that, we need a regulatory framework. Our NORA, which is the document attached to your file today, was fully endorsed by the Early Childhood Advisory Committee in February 2024. At this time, I'd recommend on behalf of the Superintendent of Public Instruction that you receive for first review the Notice of Intended Regulatory Action for VQB5, Virginia's Unified Statewide Measurement and Improvement System for Early Childhood Care and Education.
Thank you very much, Ms. Conway. We will accept this item for first review and see you again in April.
Thank you.
Okay, item D. Dr. Wallace. Good morning.
Good morning, President Creasy, Superintendent Coons, and members of the board. This morning, we will bring to you for first review the Virginia Student Reading Plan template. This is a requirement of the Virginia Literacy Act, and I am excited to be here presenting this plan to you. After reviewing it and being part of that process, I think the field is going to be really excited to see this template. And I do think it's going to be something that our teachers will find engaging and very beneficial. We have been partnering with the Virginia Literacy Partnership at UVA for this work. And so joining me today, I have Lisa Tyree and Ann Eaton. And so they are representing the Virginia Literacy Partnership as we present to you the next couple of items. Since we don't have the screen, if you'll turn to or get to slide 2. As you know, you've seen this legislation several times as you've been working through the Virginia Literacy Act. The Literacy Act does require that the board shall provide guidance on the content of the student reading plans and that the department shall develop the template. And so the Literacy Act requires that any student who scores below benchmark on the state's literacy screener will have a student reading plan. And this is to ensure that students can catch up on key components of literacy where they may have fallen behind, either from the pandemic or for other reasons. So today we have it for you for first review, and we'll be talking through the components of the plan. This is just yet another piece of the comprehensive package to support all of the aspects of the Virginia Literacy Act. And then later you will hear about the supplemental and intervention programs. On slide 3, you can see that the template was developed to document reading intervention services provided to students who demonstrated substantial deficiencies based on their performance either on the Standards of Learning Reading Assessment or the Literacy Screener. Beginning in 2024-25 school year, the student reading plans will be required for students in grades K through 3 who have been identified through the state-supported literacy screener as not meeting the benchmarks. These templates have been developed in partnership between UVA and the Virginia Department of Education with multiple opportunities for feedback from the field. This process began last year, and in July, a webinar was held where there were over 200 participants from the field. Those participants were able to give feedback, and this feedback has been incorporated into the plan that you see before you today. On slide 4, you will see that student reading plans do require some parental involvement if possible. And at a minimum, the plan is provided once it has been developed. So we encourage divisions to, once students have been identified from the screener as needing a student reading plan, we encourage divisions to invite parents to participate in the plan development. And then it definitely provided a copy of that plan once it has been completed. On slide 5, you see a snapshot of the plan itself. And over the next couple of slides, we'll go through the different components of the student reading plan. And again, remember, this can be developed in collaboration with teachers, parents, reading specialists, and others in the schools to support students to ensure targeted instruction is clearly outlined and to help monitor progress over the course of the school year for students who are not performing at proficiency for literacy skills. On slide 6, you will see the some of the components of the reading plans. First of all, student information, just general information about the student. Next, you have student support. Who is involved in the development of the plan and how they will support the implementation of that plan. The areas of identified need based on the student's screener or the SOL assessment. The targeted reading goals, which outline the need for the student, and a goal statement that describes the anticipated outcome that the student can reach by the end of the school year, as well as supporting objectives. A progress monitoring plan, which would describe the measures that are specific to the student and how that progress will be evaluated and monitored throughout the year. This helps parents and the educators supporting the students understand the needs of the student and how they're going to monitor that progress. Slide 7 continues the components of the reading plans with targeted intervention details. So specific details about what those interventions will include for the student, including the delivery method, the location, the dosage, the frequency, and the person responsible for each of those goals to support the student. A narrative for student progress and next steps is a description of student responses or any changes that might be needed to the plan based on the student's progress. Additional considerations to support the student for intervention services. And finally, reading resources that could be provided to families that support strategies and materials that would support the student at home with their reading progress. Next steps on slide 9, you will see that this again is first review of the student reading plan. And so following the meeting and following the acceptance for first review, we will be publishing these on our website, and comments and feedback can be received through the VLA@doe.virginia.gov email address. And then we anticipate bringing this for final approval at the April Board of Education meeting.
Thank you, Dr. Wallace. We will accept this item for first review and see this item again on our April agenda. Thank you.
Thank you.
And I know you're doing the next item as well.
Yes. So this next item is to review the first review of the intervention and supplemental materials, the program guides that will be put forth for divisions. A little bit longer process here, but we'll get through it quickly. Again, excited to be sharing the supplemental intervention program guides specific to our K-5 programming. And this presentation will just kind of help walk us through the components of those programs and how they were reviewed. So slide 2 shows you some objectives for today, starting with the overview of the Literacy Act, the review of the process, and then a look at the instruction and supplemental program guides. So on slide 4, you'll see, this is probably something you've seen before, a slide that just describes why we need the Virginia Literacy Act, with the ultimate goal to ensure that all children are reading at benchmark in grades K-5. On slide 5, you see the key components of the Virginia Literacy Act. And I just want to draw your attention to number 2, which is to align our core curricula, supplemental and intervention materials so that all divisions can use those programs to support students in their literacy needs. We're looking again at K-5 today. And so we'll go over the review of how these programs were reviewed. And so on slide 7, you have your definitions of supplemental and intervention programs. A supplemental program is designed to support the core. Now, we are confident that what this board has already approved for core instruction is are quality programs. But we do also recognize that no perfect core exists. And there are always going to be places where supplemental materials might be needed to support needs of our students. With intervention programs, these programs are designed to provide explicit evidence-based instruction for students who are persistently struggling to master literacy skills. And you've got those skills outlined there for you. So those are the facets that we looked at: phonemic awareness, phonics, fluency, vocabulary, and comprehension. And so really the supplemental programs support the core as needed, and intervention programs intervene where those students are scoring below benchmark on the Virginia Literacy Screener. Slide 8 gives you an overview of the development of the rubrics. These were jointly created by VDOE and the Virginia Literacy Partnership. Of course, Virginia Literacy Partnership is leading the charge with the overview of the process. VDOE and UVA reached out to different states. We pulled exemplars and lessons learned from those states. We incorporated that feedback into the rubrics and sought and incorporated additional feedback once those rubrics were created. The rubrics were posted online and shared with vendors in advance, and we ensured that they fully aligned with the law of the Virginia Literacy Act. The process on slide 9 is outlined for you. So reviewers included competitively selected teachers, reading specialists, administrators, division representatives, and other educational leaders from all 8 regions of Virginia. And I would like to take this time right now just to thank all of those educators that have been involved in the process. It has been a very involved process, and we truly appreciate the dedication of the educators to move forward with the review process and support literacy in Virginia. The facilitator team was comprised of literacy experts who then trained our reviewers to norm across the rubrics and guide the process. Reviewers independently evaluated programs, and then the facilitators met with the review teams weekly to compile the review findings and build consensus on programs to recommend for approval. Facilitators then integrated their findings on a final result to be normed across all program submissions so that you have a list, the 2 lists that you have before you today. Slide 10 describes how vendors also aligned with the VDOE textbook adoption process, requiring vendors to complete the certification forms and correlate to the standards of learning, soliciting reviewers who included educators, content specialists, and representing all regions of Virginia, and completing the conflict of interest forms. And finally, providing public examination of materials and establishing a mechanism for going through public comment. Now we'll get into looking at the Supplemental Instruction Program Guide. And these guides on slide 12, you can see, were reviewed with the components, key components of a good quality literacy instruction program. Programs were submitted for the components for which were reviewed for the components for which they submitted. So program vendors were able to submit based on where they felt they wanted to submit. And so that's key to understanding slide 13, because we have 2 lists for you in the supplemental program guide. We have a list of vendors programs, that met the expectations for all of the components for which they applied. And then we also have included a list of programs that met some of the components for which they applied. Okay, and so that's key to the next few slides before you. Starting on slide 14 and going to slide 15, these are supplemental instructional programs that met every component for which they applied. And so those span across both slides 14 and 15. And you can see the programs there. On 16, you will see these are the supplemental programs that met some of the components for which they applied. So we have the recommended use and the non-recommended use on this slide. And again, it's based on wherever those programs applied. Those span across slides 16 and 17 and 18. On slide 19, you will see an example of what's in your document, and you do have the full supplemental guides and the full intervention guides in your program documents. But this is just an at a glance that was designed to help divisions select the programs that will meet the expectations or needs for their specific school or students. You'll see that those programs that met all components for which they applied have a darker banner at the top. And then they don't have any grayed out criteria. So the ones that have a lighter banner at the top, those are the ones that met some of the components for which they applied. They also will have some kind of grayed out circles for showing where they met or did not meet. This document here is really key to helping divisions see where the programs were approved for use, what the strengths of those programs are, the challenges of those programs, and then an overview just at a glance for divisions as a quick reference guide as they review programs. Next, we will look at the intervention instructional program guide. It is very similar. Went through the same review process, same literacy components, and also to ensure that the programs were suitable for use in classrooms and the programs met the expectations on the rubrics. On slide 22, you will see again that the guide is broken into two sections for which K-5 intervention programs met all of the components, the expectations for all of the components for which they applied, and then the expectations for some of the components for which they applied. Slides 23 and 24 demonstrate intervention programs that met every component for which they applied. Slide 25 shows programs that did not meet all of the components for which they applied. And there you have the recommended use and not recommended use columns as well, just like the supplemental programs. Slide 26 shows you an example of the snapshot, the intervention snapshot. The darker, again, are programs that met all of the components for which they applied. And then the lighter banner at the top shows programs that met some of the components for which they applied. Again, this program guide shows where the program was approved for use, the program's strengths and challenges, and the overall overview of those programs. The next steps, of course, we're here today to ask for approval of first review, for you to receive this for first review, and we will be bringing this back in April for final review and approval. We also will have a public comment period up, so these will be posted online, and that same email address will be used for anyone to submit feedback or comments.
Dr. Coons, did you have something you wanted to add?
Yeah, I just want to thank the hard work. I've seen instructional materials reviewed in other states, and it's great to have the list and the approved materials, but the document in which VLP and VADOE has created about specifically what areas of strength these are, where the strengths are, being able to explain that in those one-pagers is incredibly helpful. And we've received tremendous feedback as school divisions are meeting with different organizations, and we have had sessions, which a shout out to your team, around planning their division literacy plans, they've really leaned into these documents and these resources as they think about their core instructional materials and what they need for additional supplements. I know that you guys have worked, and I want to shout out VLP because they have lots and lots of these reviews going on, but we've had board members ask, is this the only list? Is there another set of lists coming? Where are you in the process in the overarching K-8 space? So could anyone who is up here maybe chat on where we are on the overarching K-8 review?
I'll ask Anne.
Sure thing. It's good to see you all again. So we are currently in the middle of cycle 3, and in cycle 3, we are reviewing supplemental and intervention materials only. Cycle 3, we anticipated that we would have maybe 20 or so more to review, and we ended up with almost 90. And so because of that, we needed to sort of lengthen our timeline again, as we did in cycle 2. So the other unique thing about cycle 3 is that we received many applications that included grades 6 through 8. And because of that, we realized that we needed to do a better job capturing of the high quality materials that are in 6 through 8. And so we pressed pause on the reviews in 6 through 8, including ones that we initially had intended to present today. And we are working to develop a rubric that better captures them. So in the summer, the review will conclude for grades K through 5, and we will have another list to submit to you then of supplemental and intervention review materials for grades K through 5. The tentative schedule for that right now, you all know that you have some time off in the summer. So first review is in July and second review is in September. And that also allows for that, at least that 30-day review window, which is why we chose July and September. The 6 to 8 is still being developed, so I don't have a perfect timeline yet to give to you, but that is something that we want to put through the very same process that we use to develop rubrics to begin with. And that includes vetting, that includes feedback from the field and institutes of higher education. And so in order to preserve that process, which we have done an excellent job of in both the development of the rubrics and then the implementation of the review process, we do need to make sure to follow that same process.
Thank you, Ms. Holton.
Thank you for that explanation. Can you clarify one thing for me? Is the VLA implementation in fall of 24 just K-5, or is it 6 through 8 as well?
So we have focused on K-5 for the fall.
And maybe this is to Dr. Coons. I'm talking about, is middle school required to implement VLA in fall of 24, or is that deferred to fall of 25?
I'd be happy to check with our legal team and get back with you.
Okay, because I thought that they all have to be implementing in fall of 24. And so I'm concerned, and if I'm right in understanding that in middle school, the VLA requirements are all around supplemental and intervention. There's no core. We haven't approved any core curriculum. I do know that middle school has to implement, assuming we adopt the ELA standards later today, they will have to implement the new ELA standards. And I hear you that you've got a lot, it's a lot of work and you want to do it right, but I don't know how our middle schools are going to implement in fall without these materials. And so I would encourage you and would love to hear what we need. How can we help you all get the supplemental and intervention materials for grades 6 through 8 done in time for our school divisions to have them in the fall of 24, as I think they need.
We'll make note of that. And, you know, just in looking at their timeline, I don't think it's going to be kind of in line with our textbook review process.
Yeah, but we can't have the textbook review process done
Ms.
after
Holton.
the schools have to start being held accountable to the results.
I will reach out to the VLP and to the team and to Dr. Solari and express your concerns.
Okay. All right, so anybody else have any other questions here? All right, so thank you. Yes, Amber, sorry,
Just clarifying.
Dr. Northern.
second round is in July through September, where that's another opportunity for vendors to apply. Is that what I heard you say? I'm sorry, I wasn't sure what.
Thank you for that question. So we already have all of those applications. We are in cycle 3 right now. Cycle 3 has a number of rounds that go with it, but in order to get through all of those rounds, we are still in that process. So the window for applications is closed for cycle 3.
Okay.
We will be presenting cycle 3 in July and September.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Wallace. Thank you, team. We're happy to have you here today and happy to accept this item for first review, and we will see you again in April.
Thank you.
Okay, item F. College Partnership Laboratory School application from UVA, Dr. Armstrong.
Thank you, Madam President and board members. I am pleased and excited to provide you with this overview of the University of Virginia Innovation Hub at Charlottesville Middle School Lab School proposal, a partnership between the University of Virginia and the Superintendent's Region 5 School Division of Charlottesville City Public Schools for your consideration for approval today. I would like to first thank the members of the College Partnership Lab School Standing Committee. That includes our chair, Mrs. Joan Wadiska, Virginia Board of Education members, Mr. Bill Hanson, Mr. Andy Rotherham, and members, Mr. John Bailey and Dr. Pam Moran, for their time, their feedback, and commitment to lab schools and the additional opportunities afforded by lab schools on behalf of the students of the Commonwealth. Joining me today from the University of Virginia School of Education and Human Development are Dr. Stephanie Rowley, Dean, Dr. Kim Wilkins, Education Outreach Director, and joining us from Charlottesville City Schools are Dr. Katina Ote, Chief Academic Officer, Dr. Tanya Coffey, the Charlottesville City Public Schools Coordinator of Science and Innovation, and Mr. Rodney Jordan, the principal of Buford Middle School, which will soon become Charlottesville Middle School, where the Innovation Hub will be located. At the completion of my report, I will invite Dr. Rowley to provide a brief overview of their proposal and to introduce other special guests who also may be here representing the UVA Innovation Hub at CMS Lab School. The goals of the UVA Innovation Hub at CMS, which include developing a community of practice around education that incorporates interdisciplinary, project-based, computationally rich learning experiences, engaging students by incorporating their voices and choices throughout the learning process, and making meaningful community connections to engage students, teachers, and families in real-world problem-solving, mentorship, and career explorations are responsive to the local needs as determined by the unique community problems of practice model implemented by the Innovation Hub. Additionally, as noted in the UVA Innovation Hub application, by transforming school experiences in a way that elevates the developmental needs of young adolescents through student-driven, community and design-based projects, the lab school aims to elevate the voice and agency of middle school students in ways that align with research-based practices for positive youth development and asset-based pedagogy. This approach addresses current high-priority needs at CMS, which include increasing student engagement in school and in science, professional development that helps teachers connect different content areas in a way that is relevant to and builds on the assets of their students, and increasing student performance on state assessments. Students enrolled in the Innovation Hub, which will be housed primarily at Charlottesville Middle School, will participate in the unique offerings of the UVA Innovation Hub. The lab school acts as a dynamic center for experiential learning, where sixth grade students begin their middle school journey with a focus on exploring diverse interests and developing essential technical and real-world problem-solving skills. As students progress to seventh grade, they undertake 2 comprehensive interdisciplinary projects designed to provide practical experience and exposure to various industries, enhancing their understanding of real-world applications of their studies. The culmination of this integrative lab school experience is seen in the 8th grade, where students develop capstone projects. These projects represent a synthesis of their learning journey and prepare them for future academic and professional challenges. The VDOE received the UVA Innovation Hub application on November 8th, 2023, And in the intervening months, the agency has collaborated with the applicant as follows. During the week of November 8th, our subject matter expert team provided detailed feedback in each compliance-related section of the application. The goal of the Application Review Technical Expert Committee is to document the needed technical expertise and provide counseling to the applicants to identify and correct any potential deficiencies in the planning and implementation of the proposed college partnership laboratory school, to determine compliance with state law or regulation, to highlight potential problems or red flags with information contained in the application, and to identify aspects of the proposal that are especially unique or exciting. Our subject matter team includes myself, Mr. Rob Gilstrap from Licensure and School Leadership, Jason Ellis from the Office of Accountability, Rebecca Askew from the Office of Policy, Ed Lanza from the Office of Budgeting, Melissa Velasquez from the Department of Policy and Communications, Dr. Samantha Hollins from the Department of Special Education and Student Services, and Dr. Dave Myers, who is in the Office of Data Research and Technology. Each subject matter expert was provided with the laboratory school criteria checklist worksheets, and areas of expertise were assigned to various staff subject to their education expertise at the VDOE. A compilation of these comments is included in the attached report. The completeness and compliance report corresponds to the lab school application and reflects the following dimensions of compliance: executive summary, mission and vision, educational program, governance, management structure, financial and operations, placement plan, and other assurances. The applicant was responsive to our feedback and questions and provided edits to their application and addendums as required to meet compliance. They responded with their edited application and addenda on December 21st, 2023, which was subsequently re-reviewed by the subject matter experts on December 27th. Once it was established that the applicant had provided satisfactory responses to the VDOE, the UVA Innovation Hub application was placed on the agenda for first standing committee review on February 5th, 2024. The UVA Innovation Hub team presented to the Standing Committee on February 5th, responded to questions of the committee, and was approved by the Standing Committee on February 5th to proceed to second Standing Committee review on March 4th, 2024. The UVA Innovation Hub was posted for public comment following the February 5th Standing Committee meeting on February 15th and remained available until March 1st, and the following comment was received. Quote, "A laboratory school for our city's middle schoolers would be an incredible opportunity for our children and community. My son, a current third grader, would be so thrilled and excited to attend a school devoted to his passion. Please make this a reality in Charlottesville, 2 exclamation points." Upon second review, the Lab School Standing Committee approved the UVA Innovation Hub Lab School application to be forwarded for consideration today by the Board of Education. On behalf of the VDOE, I submit that the UVA Innovation Hub at Charlottesville Middle School Lab School is compliant and ready to implement, and I recommend to the board that the lab school be approved and subsequently begin the contract approval process. To share more about the Innovation Hub, I am again joined today by Dr. Stephanie Rowley, who will provide additional information, introduce any other special guests on behalf of UVA, and answer any questions from the board. Dr. Rowley.
Well, thank you, Dr. Armstrong. It's an honor to be here with the board. I also have with me Dr. Kim Wilkins, who has been the on-the-ground manager of this endeavor, and our team is there, including Dr. Katina Odie, who's the Chief Academic Officer for Charlottesville City Schools, Mr. Rodney Jordan, who's the principal at what is now Buford Middle School, and Dr. Tanya Coffey, who is our science expert from the city schools. Really excited. I also want to just start with a big thank you to Dr. Armstrong for his partnership and the Standing Committee. We have been through lots of revision, and I really appreciate the efforts at helping us to refine the vision and to come up with something that is really exciting. So this all started with a conversation. So I should say, I'm going to try not to repeat everything that has been said already. So I thought maybe I could reduce my comments and have more time for questions and hit some of the highlights. So this all started with a conversation between myself and Dr. Royal Gurley, who is the superintendent of Charlottesville City Schools. So I've been dean just under 2 years. Which was just when we started working on the lab school effort. And this was our first meeting. I said, what can we do together? What do you need? What can we offer? And also thinking about what the schools could offer us in terms of insight and expertise. And he said two things. One is workforce readiness for students in the division. And the second thing was to really think about middle school, which turns out to be one of our areas of expertise. And so that was how we hatched this idea. And the idea is really to offer computational rich experiences to all students so that you don't have to be a super coder in order to be exposed to these ideas, to make sure we're supporting teachers in these efforts, and to make it a community endeavor. And so the mission to engage all students in personally meaningful, computationally rich, interdisciplinary learning experiences, and to really make sure that students are able to explore questions using computational methods that are relevant to their lives, to inspire curiosity, fuel innovation, and empower all students. So our model, as Dr. Armstrong pointed out, is really starting students in 6th grade with basic skills, moving them to 7th grade, getting them involved in project-based learning, and then third, moving them toward 8th grade and a capstone project in the context of this innovation hub with central expertise, but also that is building a community of practice inside the school. And that is connected to UVA, to our connecting our pre-service teachers, the in-service teachers in the school, our community partners, et cetera, and really to make the learning relevant and with lots of professional development all around. The model is a little bit complex in that we don't have 3rd graders yet, 6th graders yet in the middle school. And so you'll see those will kind of loop in starting in year 3. So our partnerships are the center of the effort. I won't go through all of our partners except to say that we have some community partners that are longstanding partnerships, some internal partners, other schools at UVA, including data science and engineering, and the Equity Center, the UVA Equity Center, which is both a site for summer enrichment for students, professional development for teachers, and also this kind of hub of our community connections. In terms of sustainability, we want to think about this in terms of our partnerships, the research endeavors that will come from this effort, and then obviously also for our students to create this kind of community. A big focus will be on developing a research agenda so that we can add research funding both as a sustainability activity, but also to make sure that we're infusing the efforts in evidence-based practices. And then finally, the outcomes really focused on student engagement, obviously trying to deliver this really rich curriculum to all students, but then also making sure that in-service and pre-service teachers are prepared for the world of the future, for this digital age, and prepared to infuse these computational processes in all types of classes. And then also we want to continue to strengthen our partnerships and again, foster research. So I will end it there and take any questions. Thank you.
Any questions?
I have a question, Madam President.
Mr. Sturdivant?
Is this STEM-based, computer science-based? What's the overall focus on it?
So we talk about this computational rich environment, which we will start in science. But our vision is to use these computational methods across the curriculum, ultimately. Meaning you could take up a question like, students could take up a question like, how would bicycle lanes improve health for the city or something like that in a social studies class? But they would use some computational methods and our relationship with our community partners to build a project around that question. And so we're trying to really spread those methods across the curriculum, but really starting initially with our science curriculum. Does that make sense? So ultimately, it is a way to help students become more confident in STEM areas, but to not segregate that work only to the science classes.
Thank you.
Dr. Northern?
Well, I just have some logistical questions. If you could just clarify how many students can be served by the school, how much time they'll spend, and the access to the program, how that'll be decided.
Do you want to answer logistical?
So we're going to serve all the students at Charlottesville Middle School. So that's approximately 300 seventh graders and 300 eighth graders now. And then when sixth grade comes in 3 years, that'll be another 300 students.
Okay.
And so the hub is actually embedded initially in the science classrooms, and all students will have at least one scheduled class a week in the Innovation Hub.
And so I thought I saw something and I'm sorry, thank you. Thought I saw something about a lottery. What
Oh,
was that?
so there is an existing lottery system with the Charlottesville City Schools. And so we're going to sort of piggyback on that for the lab schools. So if we do get people interested in the lab school, they can go through the same lottery system and we'll use that.
Further question, Dr. Northern?
Just meaning that you're serving all the kids at Charlottesville Middle School, and you're gonna have a lottery for kids outside Charlottesville Middle School to also come and participate?
Correct, assuming there's seats available.
Assuming there's seats available.
Sorry.
Thank you.
Questions from this end? Mr. Hanson?
Not a question, but just well, thank you both to both of you and your teams, and also Andy, thank you. Really appreciate the process that we've gone through with the committee to get us where we are today, and just again the reflection on the partnership with the school district, the university, the community, and to really be addressing an important community need for our students. I just really want to commend you for your vision and your initial meeting to look at this, but it just really, again, appreciate your partnership with the department as well. And just, I think you've helped make us better in our work and in our review as well. So thank you.
Other comments or questions, Ms. Holton?
I have a question, a comment, and then a question to Dr. Armstrong, if I may. First, the comment, just thank you for the great work, and I love seeing that you're going to be serving all the middle school students in Charlottesville and the partnership with UVA. It's very exciting, and we look forward to seeing what we can learn from your experience that can be exported to other schools, which is the whole concept of the lab schools. My question to Dr. Armstrong concerns money. And it's my understanding that the budget that the General Assembly has adopted limits.
I think that question should be directed to Dr. Coons as
I'm
far as
happy to
money.
have whoever is appropriate to answer it, but it's my understanding that the funds have been limited in the budget as passed by the General Assembly, and recognizing that that's still in an ongoing negotiation. But as passed by the General Assembly, the funding for lab schools is limited such that there will be no funding for new lab schools, either the UVA one or the other one we're going to hear later today, unless something changes in that budget. And so my first question is my understanding accurate? And second is, if that is accurate, shouldn't we be accepting this on first review today and not final review? Because despite the strengths of the programs, if there's no money, it can't go forward, and it might even be counterproductive, frankly, to the negotiations if the folks in the General Assembly think that we're
As you heard,
acting
the
when the
dean,
budget hasn't yet been addressed.
as you
Dr.
heard the
Coons?
dean, thank you. They've been working on this for over 2 years. We have nearly 4,000 students who are on track to attend lab schools, 60 school divisions and 25 higher education institutions who have been deeply committed to lab schools across the Commonwealth over the past years. More than 60 employers and community partners are invested and engaged in the design of lab schools. We have 21 lab school applications that either have been approved or in process. The governor remains committed to supporting lab school development and provide opportunities that provide students opportunities to learn the vital skills such as that were discussed here in their passion areas and meaningfully contribute to Virginia's thriving workforce after graduation.
So if I then just can say by way of comment,
Ms. Holton?
While I'm excited about this proposal and from what I've seen about the one we're going to see later today, also looks exciting. I am not comfortable approving on final review when the budget is up in the air. I think it's frankly unfair to UVA and Charlottesville to give them false expectations. And I also think that it could be counterproductive in the ongoing discussions over the budget. And for that reason, I would support accepting on first review and addressing next month, but will not, I personally can't support accepting on final review today.
Mr. Hanson?
I just fundamentally disagree with I think we've been about this work, this university and the partnership has been about this work. I think it's incumbent upon us, as it was with the lab school committee and this board, to proceed with this. And I would hope that the quality of this work and the importance of this work, this would actually, I think, be helpful to the deliberations and the conversations that are going on, to understand the students that are going to be benefited by this, the communities are going to be benefited by this. And I think it would actually be helpful in the conversations if we continue to proceed. And I see no reason to not proceed when we've been going through this for all of these months.
Dr. Northern?
Just wondering if the dean could talk about their sustainability plans, which I actually found to be exceptionally strong as a UVA alum myself. I'm well aware of the strong alumni support at that college. So do tell us a little bit about your sustainability plans.
Sure. So we have a multi-pronged approach that is also part of our partnership. So talking with Dr. Gurley, part of what we're thinking about is some joint philanthropy that would draw on our alumni base and others. Second, obviously, this is a research endeavor as part of it, and we will be writing some grants, and then also inviting alum in as mentors and in other capacities. And so really trying to hit things on all fronts, understanding that it's a complex endeavor, obviously thinking about local, state, and federal support as well. Are there things you wanted to add to that? Yes, and our corporate partners. So again, the joint efforts with the Charlottesville City Schools and part of these the community partnerships is really understanding that corporate partners will understand that having computational skills going forward is really critical to the workforce in the future. And we really believe that we can draw on some of those relationships for philanthropic support.
Mr. Rotherham?
Yeah, these have been great questions. The thing that's, I think, really exciting about this is this one juxtaposed with the lab school we're going to hear. Subsequently, two very different approaches, pedagogical approaches. That's the whole point here. It's to create more diversity in how we deliver public education, more choices and so forth for parents. And so it's commendable. I actually first met Dr. Northern before she was Dr. Northern when she was a student at UVA. We had an opportunity to work together. And I'm also have a degree from Curry, and so I'm extremely pleased to see this as well. I get the budget negotiations. I mean, I hear the point, but if we, given the context of everything that's happening, if we put on hold all this work, we have all these schools in pipeline. We've made a commitment to educators around the state that we're going to create opportunities and space for this. We can't be held hostage to that back and forth, and I strongly urge us to move forward today with both of these applications.
Okay, if no one else has a comment to make, I'll return to Ms. Holton. Does anyone else have a comment? Okay.
Just a clarifying question. Can you remind me, and Dr. Armstrong may have said this, but how much money are you expecting to get from the State Lab School Fund, and over what years are you going to be expending that money?
4 years.
So 4 years, it's about $5 million.
4 years, $5 million. Okay,
That's right.
thank you.
All of our lab schools, we've been working to refine budgets, and you'll see a 4-year spend window for all of our lab schools. and the Charlottesville, the UVA Innovation Hub. I believe the motion includes up to 5 million, if I'm not mistaken, for startup and operational costs.
Thank you.
Mr. Hanson.
And I think all of those allocations and budget requests are based on what the legislature passed 2 years ago. And so these are monies. So the conversation right now is, trying to alter what's already been approved. So I think we should be focusing on what's been approved, what's been in the planning process, and until things change. And also, I appreciate I served on the Curry board for about 10 years on the advisory board. So just heart is with you.
Thank you. We appreciate it. Mr. Rotherham?
I move the motion.
Second.
Okay. All those in favor, or is there any discussion on this item before we take a vote? Okay. Mr. Sturtevant?
Aye.
Ms. Kilgore? Ms. Ashton?
Aye.
Mr. Hanson?
Aye.
Mr. Rotherham?
Aye.
Dr. Northern?
Aye.
Ms. Holton?
No, only as to final review.
And chair votes aye. Thank you. We appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
And the next item is item G. Dr. Armstrong?
Thank you, Madam President. Madam President and board members, I am pleased to provide you with this additional overview of the Mountain Gateway Community College Technology Education Center, known as MG Tech Lab School Proposal. And this is a lab school partnership among Mountain Gateway Community College, Rockbridge County Public Schools, Buena Vista City Public Schools, Bath County Public Schools, Allegheny Highlands Public Schools, and Botetourt County Public Schools. I would again like to thank the members of the College Partnership Lab School Standing Committee for their time, feedback, and commitment to lab schools and additional opportunities afforded by lab schools on behalf of the students of the Commonwealth. Joining me today from Mountain Gateway Community College are Dr. Ben Worth, Vice President of Academic Affairs, Ms. Tamara Lipscomb, the Associate Professor and Information Systems Technology Program Head, and President, Dr. John Rainoni. We also, I believe Mr. Moore is not here today, but he is an instructor as well with the program. Also joining us today is Ms. Kim Halterman, the Superintendent of Allegheny Highlands Public Schools. Upon completion of my report, I will invite Dr. Worth and Ms. Lipscomb to provide a brief overview of their proposal and to introduce any other special guests that are representing the Mountain Gateway Technology Education Center. The goals of MG Tech include providing high school students with a comprehensive education in information technology, including cybersecurity, AWS cloud computing, and IT support, preparing students for IT careers by offering courses that lead to career study certificates, providing a springboard to an associate's degree in IT, and providing knowledge and skills necessary to obtain industry-leading certifications by providing hands-on, project-based learning opportunities that will allow students to develop the skills and knowledge they need to succeed in the field. And these are all responsive to the local need to provide support to students served by MG Tech to establish exposure and earn credentials leading to high-wage, high-skill, high-demand jobs in the IT and cybersecurity industry that, importantly, would potentially allow students to remain in the region served by Mountain Gateway Community College, a region that hopes to improve the overall workforce demand and retention conditions. Students enrolled in MG Tech will be served in a program based on the HighFlex model, which provides students with a choice of learning modalities, including synchronous online learning, asynchronous online learning, and in-person learning. This approach will allow students to personalize their learning experience based on their individual learning styles, preferences, and needs, and curriculum innovations that leverage other existing programs in the student's base school. The curriculum unfolds over 3 dynamic years, each building upon the previous, to create a scaffolded learning experience which is purely based on the goals of the computer science standards of learning. In years 1 and 2, students are exposed to Python programming, digital literacy, computer applications, and specialized modules in networking, PC hardware, and OS architecture before year 3, when students have the unique opportunity to select a concentration in either cybersecurity, IT support, or AWS cloud computing. The VDOE received the MG Tech application on July 12, 2023, and in the intervening over 8 months, the agency has collaborated with the applicant as follows. During the week of August 14th, the VDOE subject matter expert team provided detailed feedback in each compliance-related section of the application. The applicant was responsive to subject matter expert feedback and questions and provided edits to their application and addendums as required to meet compliance. Items that required attention by the applicant included additional details related to SOL and MG Tech curriculum alignment, teacher and leadership employment policies, and provision of extracurricular activities. A revised application was submitted to the VDOE on September 10th, and a subsequent technical assistance call was held on September 18th. On October 19th, I had the pleasure of an on-site technical assistance visit on the MGCC campus, and a further revised application was received on November 27th, 2023. The VDOE team provided feedback on the November 27th application revision during the week of December 6th, and Mountain Gateway Community College was provided with the results of the SME review team feedback on December 13th. MGCC provided a revised application to the VDOE for first standing committee review and consideration on December 20th, 2023. The MG Tech team presented to the standing committee on January 8th, responded to questions of the committee, and was approved by the standing committee on January 8th to proceed to second standing committee review on March 4th, 2024. The MG Tech Academy application was posted for public comment following the January 8th standing committee meeting on January 18th and remained available until February 1st, and the following comment was received. Quote, the addition of the Mountain Gateway Lab School will greatly benefit our region by giving students an opportunity to gain the skills and certifications for employment and an educational model that fits their individual needs. The skills and certifications the students earn will allow them to stay in the region with a high-earning career. Upon second review, the Lab School Standing Committee approved the MG Tech Lab School application to be forwarded for your consideration today here at the Virginia Board of Education. On behalf of the VDOE, I submit that the Mountain Gateway Community College MG Tech Lab School is compliant and ready to implement, and I recommend to the board that the lab school be approved and subsequently begin the contract approval process. To share more about MG Tech, I am again joined today by Dr. Ben Worth and Ms. Tamara Lipscomb, who will provide additional information, introduce any other guests in attendance on behalf of MG Tech, and answer any questions from the board. Dr. Worth.
Thank you, Dr. Armstrong. Thank you, board, for hearing us today. I'm joined by College President John Renoni and by Kim Halterman, Superintendent for Allegheny Highlands Public Schools. Dr. Renoni, if you'd like to say a few remarks.
Good morning. Thank you so much for being here. I've had the honor of serving as the president for Mountain Gateway Community College, formerly Dabney Lancaster Community College, for 11 years. And I've always described Mountain Gateway as the place for opportunities, and opportunities for individuals who would not necessarily have a chance for a degree or an industry credential, and a goal ultimately, as all our community colleges, is to get to the middle class. This is especially important in a rural community. The lab school application provides another opportunity for our students in our 5 school divisions. And I just want to thank you for the consideration, and really an honor to be here this morning.
And it's my pleasure to further address the board as superintendent of Allegheny Highlands Public Schools. It's my great honor to be in Virginia's newest school division. And we're very excited to be able to provide opportunities for our students of all variety of stripes. And as a school division, our board and our constituents and our staff have been deeply committed since our inception to making more opportunities for kids, to helping them reach them flexibly as needed, and to provide support along that way. And we're just absolutely fierce about providing opportunities for our kiddos in their rural community. We're so excited to have opportunities such as this, that have the potential to really be flexible with our student needs, a really dynamic environment, and present something that we could not otherwise present. And I want to be very candid about that. Even though we are a large school division for our area, we are not large. We are approximately 2,700 students. So I want to underline the level of opportunity and commitment here from our friends at Mountain Gateway. And we're just really excited to bring this forward to you today and support them. Thank you.
And thank you, Ms. Halterman. We're really excited about this program. It is a really innovative curriculum. We will be focusing on key areas of cybersecurity, cloud computing, information technology. It's going to be a hands-on program. We will be interacting closely with industry professionals throughout our entire service area. It's a program that's going to have guest lecturers, networking events, internships, and opportunities for our students to gain meaningful real-world experience. The goal is to provide them with industry-recognized certifications that will allow them to find employment within our service area, around the state of Virginia, or anywhere in this country. The instructional model we've put together blends face-to-face instruction with learning at a distance. As a community college, we've learned how to do this. We learned how to do this during the pandemic, but we were doing this long before then because we served lots of adult learners. So our program will use existing transportation networks to bring students to our main campus in Clifton Forge. We are a large service area. Our students travel great distance to get to our campus. This program will allow those students who have transportation challenges to be able to do the work with video technology like Zoom. And we have a very robust presence of our content online so that students who are not able even to get to a Zoom lecture will be able to stay connected with their class. We have found, we believe, a sustainable model for this program. The per pupil funding that we will be able to receive, we will be able to split some of that with our high schools. The students will stay with us during the mornings. They will return to their high schools for lunch and for afternoon activities. That way they can stay engaged with athletic programs and other activities in their high schools. The funding that we will be able to use from that per pupil funding is sufficient to provide support for the exams that they have to complete. So they'll be doing certification exams starting in their junior year. It will cover the cost of textbooks. We've received some great support from industry providers on our textbooks, and it will provide the support we need to hire the staff to run the school. So we're excited about that as well. We have developed strong partnerships to launch this program. You just heard from Ms. Halterman with Allegheny Highlands Public Schools and all of the school systems across our service area. We have the support of their superintendents, their principals, and those school boards. We've been in communication with them throughout this process. And we're really excited to be able to take some great IT instruction that's already occurring in our schools, but really move it to the next level and beyond. All of our schools do IT instruction, but not at the level that we're proposing through this program. We also have strong support from business and industry partners. The Virginia Military Institute operates a cybersecurity lab. We're excited to be able to partner with them to bring our students to VMI to participate in field trips. Likewise, the Washington and Lee University Connolly Center for Entrepreneurship is a partner. We're looking at partnering with them on things like hackathons and other kind of events where our students can leave their high schools and come to a campus environment to do work. We've partnered with nationally recognized organizations like Amazon Web Services and Cengage Group. AWS is a leader in cloud computing software. They were instrumental in supporting the Virginia Community College system in the development of a curriculum to provide instruction in cloud computing. Cengage Group is an educational content provider. They are offering us educational discounts. CompTIA is a provider of nationally recognized IT certifications. They will be offering discounts on certification vouchers and providing professional development to our faculty. And we're already starting to build a list of local employers that are interested in letting our students do internships in their locations. That includes Curley and Rockbridge Community Hospital and Virginia Technology Services, a local IT company in our region. The list of certifications our students will be eligible to receive is impressive. CompTIA Security Plus, Linux Plus, A Plus, Network Plus, Pen Test Plus, the Cisco Certified Support Technician Cybersecurity Certification, and the Cisco Certified Technician Support Technician in Networking. These certifications are known in the industry. Students who hold those certifications can go straight to work with those. We have local businesses that are excited about us being able to provide this kind of training so that they can hire our graduates potentially while they're even still in high school to do work for them. And the career opportunities, the certifications I mentioned lead to jobs that pay $70,000 to $100,000 a year, which is significant for our region. There are also pathways into higher education from this program. The students will be able to earn short-term certificates, career study certificates, and certificates from Mountain Gateway Community College. We offer an Associate Applied Science degree. All of the work that they do will lead into that program. And we are also providing coursework that is tied to the Transfer Virginia Common Curriculum and Information Technology. If you're familiar with the Transfer Virginia Partnership, they just launched the Common Curriculum for IT last year. And so we have pathways then for our students to do work both at our community college, but to transfer on to senior institutions in Virginia to continue studies in IT if they so choose. This is going to be a real game changer for us, and we are really excited about this opportunity. I'd like to open it up to any questions that the board members may have.
Any questions?
Madam President,
Mr. Sturtevant?
not a question, but a statement. It's clear you know what your students need. And Madam President, we hear a lot of presentations and we get excited about certain things, but this group right here, they have a lot of positive things to be excited about. So I look forward to fully supporting them.
Thank you. Further questions, comments? Dr. Northern?
I just gotta amen on my colleague's comment here. I mean, this is probably one of the most exciting lab school presentations I've seen. The fact that you guys have managed to bring together K-12, higher ed, and the tech industry, and that you're offering these high demand, high wage IRCs that are going to lead to just really lucrative opportunities for these students. It's awesome what you've done, and I just want to personally congratulate you on the plan that you've pulled together and the support that you've gotten from the various industries and higher ed.
Thank you.
Dr. Coons?
I would be remiss in not mentioning that we have the Region 6 Superintendent of the Year standing on the stage. So I want to give a shout out to Kim Halterman. And then just want to mention that Amy Griffin runs that program, and she is sitting in the audience, and she does a phenomenal job of helping cultivate our regional and our superintendents. And it's a great honor and recognition, but want to give a huge shout out to Kim because that is well deserved.
Thank you. Mr. Rotherham?
I want to also, this has been a great one, watch this come through the process. It's exciting. It's a part of the state where it's fantastic to see us creating opportunities like that. Kim, it's great that you're here, and it really shows what is possible under this, and it's extremely exciting. I also want to, I won't repeat what I said about the different kinds of schools and what we're doing, but I also do want to acknowledge Andy Armstrong's work, not just on this application, but shepherding the various ones through has been tremendous. There are, as we heard, there are a lot in the pipeline and moving forward. It's a lot to a lot of planes in the air, and want to thank you for that. This is exciting. This is when we sort of said we need to have more choices and options for students and families in the state. This is the kind of thing that we were envisioning, and so I moved the motion.
Second.
Okay. The motion has been moved and properly seconded. Are there, is there discussion on the item? Ms. Holton?
I'll just join in the enthusiasm, Mr. President. Madam Superintendent, it's great to see you again, coming here all the way from one of my favorite parts of Virginia. I'm still calling it Dabney Lancaster, so I'm trying.
Okay.
Gateway is a great name. I just
Okay.
not caught up with it fully yet.
I'm collecting fines.
Oh, that's very smart. I owe you the quarter or whatever it is. I have one question and one comment, and my question is, how many students do you anticipate serving, and how much lab school money, and over what period of time?
So when we're fully ramped up, we will be serving at least 72 students by the end of the 4-year ramp up period.
That's 72 annually.
72 annually. And we have capacity to grow that depending on the interest of students in our area. Our full budget request is around $2 million.
It's slightly less than $2 million start in operations over 4 years.
2 million over 4 years. Okay. Thank you. And I do recognize one of the extra challenges you've got is geography and your work to include a lot of divisions. I recognize that part of the answer to that is the remote learning, and yet the challenges of that in K-12 are a little different than in higher ed, and I'm sure you all are thinking about all of that carefully. My comment beyond that is just as with the UVA application you saw, I don't feel comfortable approving for final review with the budget status being what it is, please don't interpret my vote as anything other than concerned about that. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So our service area is 1,800 square miles with fewer than 70,000 people. And so it's a very, there's not quite more cows than people, but we're probably close. We're probably close, but it's a wonderful place to be, wonderful place to live. And again, this is another opportunity for those students.
Madam Chair, I would be remiss not to say something, and we kind of jumped into voting. As a former CTE teacher, this excites me so much. And as a resident of a part of Virginia, not so different from your area, this is also very exciting, and it's hope for a lot of part of our state. So thank you all so much. And your enthusiasm is contagious. So thank you.
And maybe just put an exclamation point on the comments and again, I appreciate just your comments, but also your work. The infectiousness of your leadership and of your commitment to this is terrific. And I know the students in your communities are going to be blessed by that. But I just, again, want to thank you. And also one person we haven't, I think, thanked today is Joan Wadiska, who's been the chair of the lab school committee and just has been tireless in her working with Andy and the team here, but also has traveled the state a lot to go and really make sure, again, we're learning of a two-way street of what can make this program better and what resources can be brought to the table to help your program improve as well. So just wanted to make sure we had thanked you. But just again, I don't want to say this has been my favorite proposal that has come through the committee, but it is. It's just, I've spent my last 10 years working on the credentialing and pathways programs in my professional life. And this is just one of the best I've seen that actually rubber hitting the road to really give students the opportunity to have meaningful pathways and purposeful pathways in their communities to make a difference. So just thank you for your terrific work.
And to close, since we have a motion that's been properly seconded on the floor, I would like to close this discussion by just reiterating the fact that the funds that are for this project and for the previous project have already been appropriated. Mr. Sturtevant, how do you
Aye.
vote? Ms. Kilgore?
Aye.
Ms. Ashton?
Aye.
Mr. Hanson?
Aye.
Mr. Rotherham? Dr. Northern?
Aye.
Ms. Holton?
No, for the reasons before stated.
And chair votes aye. Thank you guys so much. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay, item H, Mr. Gilstrap.
I want to also say how awesome it is to have Kim part as our ABTEL board as well. She is a wonderful member of that team, as well as Ms. Holton is as well. And the proposal I have for you does come straight from our ABTEL board. So she was part of that as well. So she's welcome to stick around and hear how this one goes as well. It's almost afternoon, but good day. President Creasy, members of the board, Superintendent Coots. Today I bring to you for first review from the ABTEL board, a recommendation to approve new education endorsement programs. The following information is also available in your agenda item, but I have some highlights. Requests for new programs must be submitted by March 31st, so we are right up to that deadline. Board regulations require the program approval to be based on pre-K through 12 school needs, and VDOE staff have verified program endorsement competencies through the review of course designations and syllabi, as well as evidence of written documentation of school divisions' demand data and requested programs. The new endorsement requests are all for Randolph College, and they are all at the graduate level. All these programs are already at their undergraduate level at this college. This would add a graduate level for these. The programs are chemistry, earth science, physics, mathematics, theater arts pre-K through 12, and visual arts pre-K through 12. Randolph College currently has 15 areas of endorsement. They also have 19 levels represented through those areas. This would add 6 new levels. Across the Commonwealth, these areas are represented in the following levels. Chemistry has 43 pathways, 19 of them at the graduate level. Earth Science has 25 pathways, 14 of those at the graduate level. Physics has 32 pathways, 15 at the graduate level. Theater, which is a special one for this group, has 19 pathways, but only 5 of them are at the graduate level. So this would be a much needed another graduate course for the theater area. And visual arts has 29 pathways and 10 of them are at the graduate level. Are there any questions that I could answer?
Any questions by board members on this particular item?
Action will be
Northern?
requested on the,
Dr. Northern?
oh, did someone say something?
Yeah,
Sorry, I'm sorry. I
sorry.
didn't see.
I'm just missing, because this is not my area of expertise, but these new education endorsement programs, you're saying they would only be valid for Randolph College?
These are for this is for their program.
Just for their program?
Yeah.
Okay, so if another college wanted an earth science education endorsement program, they would go through the same process?
Yes, and that's when I was saying how many were at other colleges. For the one you just said, Earth, there's 25 other colleges that have
Okay.
this program.
Got it.
And of those 25, 14 of them are at the graduate level.
Thank you.
Action will be requested in our April meeting. And just to clarify, we did receive stakeholder engagement at the ABTEL meeting in January, January 8th, and they did ask for approval for these endorsement areas.
Thank you, Mr. Gilstrap. We will take this item for first review and see you again in April.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Now we're up to item I.
Good morning, President Creasy, members of the board, and Superintendent Coons, and thank you for having me this morning. I am Katie Carroll, Deputy Superintendent of School Performance and Support, and I have with me today Mark Jennings, our new Director of Accountability at BDOE. And we are here to present to you item L, the first review of applications for, oh, sorry. Item I, that's the one later today. Item I for first review, applications for alternative accreditation plans for the 2024-2025 school year. On slide 2, as background, the Standards of Quality provides school boards with the opportunity to seek approval through the state board for individual school accreditation plans or alternative accreditation plans to adjust certain performance indicators based on the purpose of the school. The current standards of accreditation regulations provide further guidance, allowing alternative accreditation plans for special purpose schools such as governor schools, special education schools, alternative schools, and career technical schools. Moving on to slide 3, we provide background on previous action from the board on this work. So alternative accreditation plans have been a component of accreditation, the accreditation system prior to 2017. But in January 2020, based off the board's request, a working committee of department staff members from the Office of Student Assessment, Data Services, Research, Instructional Services, Career Technology, and Adult Education and School Quality convened to outline new guidelines for alternative accreditation plans that aligned with the 2017 Standards of Accreditation. Then at the November 2021 board meeting, work session, VDOE staff discussed this realignment for the alternative accreditation plans and with the board to ensure the realignment efforts met their expectations. Then nearly 2 years ago in April 2022, the board approved the first alternative accreditation plans that aligned with the new guidelines for the 2022-2023 accreditation year. Moving on to slide 4, we provide high level the goals of these guidelines. And the goal of these alternative plans is to include all students to the greatest extent possible. The guidelines were developed through this process and are included in the agenda item overview. These guidelines ensure that through the alternative accreditation plans, that the current accreditation framework, indicators, performance benchmarks are maintained while allowing flexibility. This may be done through modified improvement percentages, such as from 10 percentage points to 5 additional years in the consecutive multi-year rate, or expanding the college career and civic readiness indicator. Schools may also seek approval to add an indicator specific to their school level programs that can then showcase the work that they are doing. Now I am going to turn it over to Mark Jennings, again, Director of Accountability, to provide an overview of the alternative accreditation plans that we are bringing for first review.
Thank you, Deputy Carroll. Thank you, Board. Thank you, Dr. Coons. The alternative accreditation plans before you today for first review are for the 24-25 accreditation year, which is based on 2023-2024 school year data. 11 special purpose schools from 6 divisions in Virginia are requesting approval. You see the divisions and schools listed on this slide, and this is the same number of schools and divisions as last year, although one school did not apply again this year and one new school was added, but still the same number. On slide 6 and in attachment number 2, available to you and on the public for public viewing, is guidance provided to divisions on allowable flexibilities and modifications and the process that we use for submission, approval, and implementation of the approved alternative accreditation plan. There are 9 indicators that schools can request to be modified, and in reviewing this year's 11 plans, all have requested modifications in chronic absenteeism. Schools differed in their other requests. Typical modifications within the other indicators included counting test scores in the locally awarded verified credit range. That's a 375 to 399. And what they're asking for there is it could be weighted. So it doesn't count as a passing score, but they get 75% credit. They also wanted to use a cumulative 4-year rate rather than a 3-year rate, improving performance by 5% versus the standard 10%. And they wanted to amend the student level threshold for chronic absenteeism. So the threshold right now is 10%, and they may ask for 15%. They did include that meaningful engagement and how they would apply that in their divisions. On slide 7, today the Superintendent of Public Instruction recommends the board receive for first review the applications for alternative accreditation plans. And then at the April 25th business meeting, we'll ask for final review and approval will be requested at that time.
Thank you all so much. We will accept this item for first review and we will see you all in April.
Thank you.
That being said, I think maybe we're getting to a point where people are melting. And so what we will do is we will take a lunch break now and we will come back at 12:30. That's 40 minutes. Thank you.